Hey, how's it going today, guys? This is Brandon with the Five Wide Football Podcast, man. We have a lot to talk about today. As you guys know, the Super Bowl is this coming Sunday as the Chiefs take on the 49ers. But we're going to take a new spin on things today. Maybe start a new series, maybe another playlist. We're going to be talking about top 10 NFL quarterbacks of all time. Before we get into that, though, if you guys wouldn't mind subscribing, it would be awesome. But don't forget to like the video, man. Especially if you like NFL content, go ahead and like the video. Comment, leave a comment, man. We love feedback here. I love going back and forth with you guys. And I like getting you guys' opinions, see what you guys like, see what teams you like, and maybe ideas you have for other videos as well. Don't forget to hit that bell notification as well, though, because when you hit that, you will never miss a video, never miss a short, anything whatsoever. Now, I made a top 10 list here a while back on the Football Frame of Mind podcast, and since then, I have made revisions to it. I've had to do a little bit more research, and I feel like now I feel a bit better about it. Now, when I make a top 10 list, I don't base it on rings alone. I base it on the player, their impact to the league, different regular season accomplishments, playoff success, and also, like, I have to understand maybe sometimes players ran into a lot of roadblocks, whether being bad defenses, lack of head coaching ability, the organization perspective, the era they played in, maybe a really tough division or conference. Like, there's so many things that come into play. So this is not your regular top 10 list at all. I don't base it solely off of rings. So your top 3 is probably going to look a bit different than what it normally does. Rings have a lot to do with it. But I just feel like there's so much more to the game and players' legacies than rings. So if you guys get upset, I'm sorry. This is my personal opinion. But I like being diverse. I like having a different perspective. And I like hearing you guys' perspective. So, man, who do you guys think are the top 10 quarterbacks of all time? Maybe even y'all top 5. Leave it in the comment section below. Let's have a discussion. I want to see who you guys think are top 5 and top 10. But nonetheless, let's get started. So I've got about 4 honorable mentions. I'm not going to go crazy into these guys, but these are 4 guys that I feel like are honorable mentions. Should be top 10 in some people's lists, but not mine. I'm going to put Patrick Mahomes on there. He's still playing. He's still got a lot of time left to prove himself. That's why I can't put him in the top 10, just mainly because he's still playing. But his accomplishments they speak for themselves. He's got a league MVP or 2, quite a few Super Bowls, and they may be having another one this year. We shall see. I've got Roger Staubach with the Cowboys on there, man. America's team. Heck of a quarterback. Hall of Fame quarterback. Definitely deserves credit as well. I've got Otto Graham, a guy who played in a league that in a time that it wasn't as pass happy. And he still ended up putting up really good stats, winning some NFL championships, and deserves respect as well. And my last guy on my top 10 is going to be good old Johnny Unitas. Now, I understand a lot of you old heads will probably have Unitas top 10. I don't happen to have him top 10, but much respect where it's due, man. Led the Baltimore Colts to a lot of success, man. I feel like he's like that first really big, like, franchise quarterback back in the day. Much respect to him. Now we're going to get into this top 10. Like I said, Super Bowls are not the deciding factor for everything, and some accomplishments aren't as well. I look at players' impact to the game when I do this as well. So if I go number 10, I've got Warren Moon, man. He played in the Canadian League, put up a lot of crazy stats, came to the NFL, finished with 9 Pro Bowls and an Offensive Player of the Year, about 50,000 yards passing and almost 300 touchdown passes, man. Really revolutionized the game, man, but he really opened the door for black quarterbacks, man. Like, before that, they really weren't prevalent. A lot of these guys were getting stuck playing skill positions like running back, receiver, safety, things like that. But, man, his passing ability was great. He could make a lot of the throws. He wasn't the fastest guy, but he was agile, and he could extend plays and throw the ball downfield as well, man. For those Oilers teams, like, his impact to the game is so much more than what his statistics say. Like, I just think he really made an impact in paving the way for other quarterbacks. Him and, like, guys like Randall Cunningham. Like, they opened the door for guys like Michael Vick and Donovan McNabb and Jalen Hurts. And I feel like I'm talking about Eagles quarterbacks a lot. Let's talk about, like, Lamar Jackson and a lot of these other mobile quarterbacks or guys of color, like, that may not have gotten the same opportunity without guys like Warren Moon paving the way, man. Really underrated passer, man. Hall of Fame quarterback, man, deserves all the respect in the world. I've got Warren Moon at 10. My number 9 might surprise you guys. I've got Terry Bradshaw. Now, he's got 4 Super Bowl rings, man. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, almost 30,000 yards passing, and over 200 touchdown passes. It wasn't as path happy of a league. And they had really good defenses, man. Legendary defenses. Like, really legendary defenses. And they had a lot to play with them winning 4 Super Bowls. But I will give Terry Bradshaw credit. Back then, it wasn't the same as the league is now with your offensive coordinator and these guys calling the plays. He was calling a lot of these plays. He was running the offense. He was literally scratching his head like, okay, guys, like, what should we do next? Or maybe I should call this again. I've already called this 3 times. Let me try this again. I heard him talking about that a while back. And much respect, man. Being able to play in a time like that with a really good defense like that, but being able to move the ball down the field, score points, and win games with guys like Lynn Swann and Stallworth and Franco Harris. And, like, he doesn't get talked about enough, man. He is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He has 4 Super Bowl rings, and he is a big reason why they won those Super Bowl rings. So I've got Bradshaw at 9. My number 8, man, I've got Steve Young. Steve Young, man. In a time where you didn't know how everything was going to transition with Montana leaving, going to the Chiefs, and Young coming in, people don't really know. Young had a lot of success in the USFL as well with the Galaxy, put up a lot of really good stats there, came into the league, sat behind Montana for a little while. Obviously, the 49ers had started winning Super Bowls, but he came in, man. He revolutionized the game for guys that could really extend plays. Like Steve Young, left-handed quarterback. I'm a lefty. I love you, Steve Young. You're awesome. Anytime you have a left-handed quarterback that has success in the league, I'm definitely a big fan of them. He ends up finishing his career with 7 Pro Bowls, 2 league MVPs, 3 Super Bowls, and a Super Bowl MVP. Over 30,000 yards passing and over 230 touchdown passes. Dude, Steve Young was awesome. And he silenced the critics, man. A lot of people didn't think that they thought they were going to fall off. Or maybe they weren't going to have the same success. But they did. They had a lot of the same team, and he was able to put the pieces together and be just as prolific on offense, man. Very underrated. Like, a lot of people always talk Montana. Montana was great. But Steve Young, man, Hall of Famer, man, what he was able to do with his legs and scramble and make plays and extend plays, he was awesome, for sure. If I'm going to go to my number 7, this is the other current player that I have on my list that is towards the end of his career, and that's Aaron Rodgers, man. Aaron Rodgers, 4 league MVPs, almost 60,000 yards passing, and almost 500 touchdown passes, man. Aaron Rodgers' story was crazy, man. Really good quarterback coming out of college, gets drafted by the Packers, he falls, and has to sit behind Favre for a little while. And then when Favre finally leaves, Aaron Rodgers gets his chance, and he shines, man. Ends up winning them a Super Bowl, man. The crazy thing to me is that you have 4 not Super Bowl MVPs. You have 4 league MVPs and only 1 ring, man. I mean, he did benefit from really good talent around him. Guys like Devontae Adams, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Jermichael Finley, Aaron Jones. Like, had a lot of really good talent around him. But do not get me wrong. Give him respect, man. What Young was able to do extended plays, Rodgers has crazy arm strength. So when he rolls out the pocket and just stops on a dime and slings it 50, 60 yards, like, Rodgers is always going to keep you in a game. Now, he is a bit of a prima donna nowadays, but just from a football field perspective, man, Aaron Rodgers is prolific. And it's crazy to me that he only has 1 Super Bowl. And I hope maybe going forward the Jets before he retires, maybe he'll win another one. We will see. He is in the same division as my favorite team, the New England Patriots. But nonetheless, man, Aaron Rodgers, man, really made a name for himself. And he surpassed Favre. He is way better than anything Brett Favre could have ever been. And I'm really happy for him, man. And I hope he has success with the Jets. But I've got Aaron Rodgers at number 7. Number 6, I've got John Elway, man. Toughest quarterback I've ever seen. He's one of the clutchest quarterbacks I've ever seen, man. John Elway, man, he's got a league MVP. Finished his career with 2 Super Bowl rings and a Super Bowl MVP. 300 touchdown passes and over 50,000 yards passing, man. John Elway, man, could take hits like nobody else, man. I feel like his career kind of has similar kind of thing like Michael Jordan. Not to the same success. Obviously, Jordan won 6 championships. But it felt like Elway just kept running into these teams over and over and just kept getting the door shut in his face over and over and over. Didn't demean the success he was having, man. He was playing off the charts, man, in an era where they had a handful of guys that were like really good quarterbacks. And the thing with him is, like, once they finally got over that hump, and they've won those Super Bowls, man. Like, they never look back, man. Him and Shannon Sharp were electric. And you had other guys like Terrell Davis, Garrison Hurst, and guys running back there. Like, they had really good teams. But, man, Elway would keep you in games. Clutch plays, oh, he's got a whole highlight reel of them, man. John Elway, maybe the clutchest player in NFL history. Just doesn't matter who's coming at him, what's going on. He's going to make the throw. He's going to keep you in that game, and he's going to 9 times out of 10 win you that game. I feel like a lot of people nowadays don't really talk about him as a player. They talk about him as a general manager or an executive and stuff like that. But, man, John Elway deserves a lot more respect, and he deserves to be in people's top 5s. Now, obviously, he's not in mine, but it's not – the margin is very small, and not because of a lack of respect. I love John Elway. And he deserves all the respect in the world, man. And I'm glad he was able to end his career with 2 Super Bowls as well. Now, look, this is where things get controversial. This is where some people are going to click off of this video. But like I said, it's not solely off of Super Bowls. There's so many other variables. Let's just get it out the way. I've got Joe Montana at 5. Most people would shriek even if he's not top 3. I've got Montana at 5, man. Joe Montana. 2 league MVPs, 4 Super Bowl rings, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. That part of that West Coast offense, man, he was the perfect quarterback to run that offense. Like, and it definitely helps when you have Jerry Rice back there. It definitely helps when you have Walsh as your head coach running these plays, man. But, man, Montana was just so cool and collective. Like, it just felt like nothing would ever get to him. Like, and obviously they were ahead a lot in games, but like even when they were down, like Montana, everything was just business as usual, man. Win games, throw for a lot of yards, throw for a lot of touchdowns, win championships. Like, that dynasty had a lot to do with him. Obviously not Blair Walsh, but Coach Walsh had a lot to do with it, bringing in the West Coast offense. They had Jerry Rice, they had Roger Craig, but man, without Montana, that team does not have the same success. He is fringe top 3, top 4 to me. But me revising it, like, you benefit having that Hall of Fame coach. You benefit having Jerry Rice. You benefit when your division really isn't as strong as some of the other divisions. Like, but that's nothing against him. Montana's awesome and always will be awesome. I loved his play style, and his archetype really set teams up for like how they were going to draft. Like his height, his weight, the style of quarterback that he was. Like, that set the tone for the league for a long time with guys that they wanted to be like that because they wanted to have the same success running that offense as the 49ers did. But nonetheless, man, I've got Montana at 5. No shade thrown at him, but I just think I've got 4 other guys who maybe don't have as many rings or maybe have more rings that may be a little bit more deserving. So, yeah, guys, check out my notebook. Always got to take notes. Number 4, I've got Peyton Manning. Man, what can you not say about Peyton Manning? Got to be the smartest quarterback in NFL history. The way he'd analyze the defense, the way he'd break down the defenses, he was cerebral, man. He would pick you apart. Like, and the accuracy. Like, he's got to be top 3 most accurate quarterbacks ever. Like, he just doesn't turn the ball over much, man, and he just knows where to put the ball. Yeah, you had Marvin Harrison to throw the ball to. You had Reggie Wayne. But I've seen throws to Dallas Clark where Dallas Clark is running like a post corner. And Peyton Manning just drops it just right over the top, right in the bucket, man. Like, those Colts teams were legit. And they were elite because of Peyton Manning. They didn't have the greatest defenses at that time. So he was always having to go above and beyond to make sure that his team won. Audibling at the line of scrimmage, moving people around, making adjustments, like to set your team up to win the game. Like Peyton Manning, like, is a generational quarterback, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in the league. I mean, the guy has 14 Pro Bowls, 2 Offensive Player of the Years. This is the crazy stat: 5 league MVPs, 2 Super Bowls, and a Super Bowl MVP, man. I like that he was able to resurrect his career. Obviously, he had the injury at the tail end of his stint with the Colts. They drafted Andrew Luck. He went to Denver and went on a tear with the Broncos, man, having quite possibly the most electrifying offensive season in NFL history. Breaking Tom Brady's previous record of 50 touchdown passes, throws for more, throws for over 5,000 yards. He had weapons, man. Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, Eric Decker, Wes Welker. They were loaded. And I'm glad he was able to ride off into the sunset and get him his second Super Bowl. Because, I mean, what? He made it to 2. No. Made it to 4. He lost 2. The second loss, we're not going to talk about because I want to just give him respect and give him his flowers. But, man, Peyton Manning, probably the highest football IQ of any quarterback in NFL history. Give him credit where it is due, guys, because he definitely deserves it. Now, this is where things get even crazier. Most people will have this man at number 1. If not number 1, they have him at 2. But most people consider him to be the GOAT. And that is Tom Brady. I've got Tom Brady at number 3, man. I grew up a Patriots fan. I've watched Tom Brady for the last 20 plus years. What can I not say, man? Almost 90,000 yards passing, 649 touchdowns, 15 Pro Bowls, 2 Offensive Player of the Years, 3 league MVPs, 7 Super Bowl rings, and 5 Super Bowl MVPs. Unheralded success, man. Just willing to go above and beyond to win, man. True competitor, true leader, man. But it does benefit you when you have good defenses every year. And it does benefit you when you have the greatest head coach in NFL history running your organization. Not to mention you had really good weapons with you as well, whether it be Moss, Welker, Deion Branch, Brandon Lloyd, Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, so many weapons. It's crazy. But, that does not diminish him. But that's why I have him at 3 because, yeah, he had legendary success. If we're talking about the most winningest quarterbacks and the best winners of all time, yeah, Tom Brady's a shoe-in, number 1, man. Nobody can compete with 7 rings. But, you have to take a lot of that other things into account when you have consistently good defenses. When you don't have to always bail yourself out because the defense can't hold the other team. And when you have a guy coaching who knows how to make the right decisions and who knows how to put your team in the positions to win. But, I mean, look, man, Tom, I think you can't make a list with him anything further back than 3. I love Tom Brady. He was my quarterback for a long time, and I hated when he went to Tampa, but I'm glad he was able to prove himself. Went to Tampa Bay and won him a ring, man, and now he's retired, hopefully for good. But, I mean, nonetheless, man, Tom Brady, Hall of Famer, supposedly the GOAT, man, but unheralded success, man. I'm really happy for him. These last 2 ones, they have less rings than Tom. They have a little bit less success than Tom, but I feel like with the circumstances they will put themselves in, they have been put in, it has a lot to do with this because there were a lot of things going on, both of these quarterbacks, that held them back from being able to do better. And I've got Drew Brees at number 2, man. A quarterback who had decent success with the Chargers and had a freaking shoulder injury. Told he was never probably going to play again. Dolphins pass on him. Sean Payton gives him a chance, and the rest is history, man. The guy has more 5,000-yard seasons than any quarterback in NFL history. Over 80,000 yards passing. Almost 600 touchdown passes. 13 Pro Bowls, a Super Bowl, and a Super Bowl MVP with a couple of Offensive Player of the Years. Brees, man, what he didn't have in height and arm strength, he had in accuracy, heart, and work ethic, man. The guy's footwork when he climbed in the pocket, man, he'd put the ball wherever. It didn't matter. You knew wherever Brees was going to put the ball, it was going to be pinpoint. It was going to be there on time and in the right spot. Didn't always have the most weapons. Yeah, he had a few guys here and there. Michael Thomas later in his career. Jimmy Graham when he was good. But for the most part, man, Brees didn't always have a lot to work with. But this is the craziest stat to me. The Saints at those times had historically bad defenses, top tier, historically bad, to the point where the Saints were dropping over 30 points a game and couldn't win games. So, I mean, this is the crazy stat. And this is my thing I usually use. If you swap Tom Brady's defenses he had and swap him with the Saints' defenses that they had, who has more rings? Leave moves, free agency, draft, everything. Who's going to have more rings? You're probably going to say Drew Brees. If Drew Brees had elite defensive play or at least subpar defensive play his entire career with the Saints, you're looking at probably 3-4 rings for sure. But, man, he's the quarterback I want to go to war with. When I'm in the trenches and we have to go and win a game, that's the guy who I probably want throwing the ball to me, man, who I want leading us down the field, man. But, man, with his back against the wall and so many things against him, most accurate quarterback in NFL history. Definitely deserved more rings. And he definitely deserves a lot more respect. And to be talked about a lot more for sure. But I'm not going to harp on it. I'm going to go to my number one, man. And this one is going to shock you. My number one quarterback in NFL history is Dan Marino. Mr. Dan Marino, man. Over 60,000 yards passing with 400 touchdown passes. 9-time Pro Bowler, Offensive Player of the Year, and a league MVP. Hashtag no help. There's a lot of seasons, damn near almost every season, where Marino had no help, man. They didn't do really good building around him. He came into the league swinging, man, throwing for over 5,000 yards. First guy to ever do 5,000 yards. Leads his team to the Super Bowl in the first year or second year. And, man, he was just elite. He was ahead of his time, man. The league was still transitioning. He was like the first quarterback to be really pass-heavy in a time where it wasn't pass-heavy, man. He was just that dude. He was ultra-talented, could throw the ball wherever he wanted, had the quickest release probably in NFL history, and just knew how to just put the ball wherever he wanted to, man. Put his teams in positions to win. A lot of the team's success, was solely on him. But a lot of their woes were not on him. The management did a horrible job building around him and putting that team in chances to win. I know you think I'm crazy. I have a quarterback who has no Super Bowl rings at number one. But, dude, when you really sit here and you think about it, a lot of that is not his fault. It was not because of bad quarterback play. Dan Marino balled out every year. And nobody talks about how good Dan Marino really was, man. So underrated. Same situation. You put him in a situation where management knows what they're doing, or in a situation like some of these other quarterbacks that I have on this list we're in, Dan Marino's going to win quite a few Super Bowls off his talent alone. Imagine when you put the other talent around him and a competent coaching staff and general management team. You're looking at a much different situation and scenario we're talking about. But, man, just ultra talented. Really good guy, man. Just really wanted to win, man. I mean, the AFC was really talented at the time, and he just didn't have that many weapons, man. Or if he did have weapons, he didn't have them for long. And I just feel like with his back against the wall, he did what he could, man. And I just feel like if you would have put him on any of these other teams with these guys, if you would have put him on the Colts where Peyton Manning was at, or the Saints where Breeze was at, or the Patriots where Tom was at, he's going to have success, man. He would have solidified himself as the greatest quarterback of all time. But that is my list, guys. I've got Dan Marino as the greatest NFL quarterback of all time. I know it's going to be controversial. Man, like I said before the video, drop a comment below, man. Who is you guys' top 5? If you don't want to give it a whole top 10, man, who do you guys think is in the top 10, top 5? Drop it in the comment section below, man. I hope you guys really like the list. I like doing this, and I'm going to probably continue to do so. I've got a receiver one in the works. I've got a bunch of other things in the works. But if you guys like this video, like it, drop a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And once you subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss a beat. I'm probably going to have a top 10 receiver video coming out pretty soon, as well as tight ends, running backs. Let me know what you guys want to watch. But that is my official top 10 NFL quarterbacks of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Brandon with the 5 Wide Football Podcast, signing off, and y'all have a great day.